Hey guys, Darkdeath5000 here, bringing you another War Thunder video on PlayStation 4. And today I'm just going to be showing you my control setup. I've actually had a couple of you asking for this, and I have made a few improvements lately, so I figured I'd just do a quick video showing my controls, and with a few examples of how it all works now. Alright, so firstly I am using max pitch now on L1 and R1. I also have the yaw on L1 and R1 as well. So if that's got you confused, basically I hold L1 and R1 together to pitch the plane up, and then to yaw I hold either L1 or R1, depending which way I want to go. So L1 is yaw left and R1 is yaw right. I've also moved roll to the right stick. So basically I can be rolling at the same time as I'm pitching or yawing the plane. A couple of other things I've changed include the Freelook camera on L2. So I've completely done away with the default snap to target you get on L2, and instead I'm now using L2 to look around. So I actually hold L2 and move the left stick to look around now. I've also added zoom to the right trigger, so that's R2 at back. And I've moved the guns to X and square, so it would be X for cannons rather, and square for the machine guns. Obviously we only have machine guns on the P47. I've also got the rockets on circle and triangle, so circle is rockets, and we've got bombs on triangle. I'll just quickly give you an example of the pitch and the rudder controls in the air because it is quite hard to show it on the field. So we've got L1 and R1 to pitch the plane up now, and we've got R1 to pitch down, your right rather, and then your left is L1. There's a few scenarios where you would use this, so for instance I like to use the pitch when somebody is coming in on my 6 really quick. What I tend to do is I turn into them with the pitch, I just point the nose down, and as they get closer I roll up like so, and then just as they're about to pass I roll back into them, and that's where I would make my shot on them. Another example, showing the yaw this time, is if you're in a climbing spiral, or even just a flat turn. So let's say you're doing something like this. Your nose is pointed up just a little too much and you're losing energy too fast. So what you'd do is you'd use the yaw, so you just point the nose down, but you just point it down briefly and that's going to let you pick up speed. So it's useful for things like that. Obviously you can use it in hammerheads. If you don't know what a hammerhead is, basically you're going to go straight up and try and get the target following you to stall out below you, and when they stall out you're going to use the rudder to flip your plane over, and that's when you get the kill. So you'd have an easy kill there when they stalled out. Obviously it's got its uses for landing. I suppose I could show you a landing example now while I'm here. I'll just get the P47 down on this field, on this airstrip I mean. If you guys want me to, I will do another video with more advanced examples of these maneuvers, I guess. I don't really know if there's any demand for that. Alright, so we're getting down, I'm lined up with the field. Landing flaps out. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to slow the plane down really quick with the rudder. I'm going to apply the brakes, get the speed down a little bit first. And I'm going to start yawing to the left now. And it's just a quick way to get down if you need to do. I don't know where you would use that, that's just how I land. But it might be useful on short airstrips when a bomber is coming in to attack you, I don't know, something like that. Even if a teammate's on the field next to you and there's not a lot of room. So you could use that to avoid a crash maybe. There is a couple of other things while I'm on the field that I've changed, mostly personal preference, but you can add these if you want. So I've got this thing here, the show vehicle modules now. That's on the left button held down. And I've also added a bailout option on L2 plus left. Alright, so here we have the control setup screen. Feel free to copy any of this down as you see fit. Just bear in mind you might need to clear your existing controls to avoid creating any conflicts with these controls. So obviously we're in the mouse aim tab. I'm using the mouse aim option on the left joystick. So that's how we aim. So we have small caliber on the square button, that's your machine guns. Large caliber guns on X, and same with additional guns, X, so they're your cannons. And then we have bombs on triangle, rockets on circle. Reload guns has been moved to L2 plus left. Throttle axis is on the right stick still. The only change I've made here is the dead zone. I've set 0.5. The reason for this is I have roll on the right stick as well, and I don't want to accidentally be changing the throttle whilst I'm rolling. So I'll just put the dead zone here to stop that from happening. Like I was saying, roll is on the right stick, so that's left and right to roll. Pitch axis, we have L1 and R1, which will pitch the plane up. That's the maximum value. And then just in case you need to pitch the plane down as well, you've got the min value here set to R3 button, which is the right stick pressed in. Flaps, I have these on D-pad right and left. So I press right to bring combat flaps out, press it again to bring out takeoff flaps, and again would be landing flaps. And then to raise them again, you just press left a couple of times so you get back to the raised position. I also have the air brake on left as well. It's not something I really use, but if you're flying like a Stuka or something like that which has air brakes, that's how you would deploy the air brake. Gunners, I have mine inverted. I will just point out as well, if you need to configure gunners, you're going to have to go to the realistic controls tab here, and if you scroll down to gunners, you'll find the aim axis here. So in my case, I have this set to the left stick. And when you've set the guns up, just go back to the mouse aim tab. So toggle view, we have that on L2 plus up. Tracking camera, I've got that on the touchpad button because I'm now using L2 for the Freelook camera. So zoom, like I was saying earlier, I've got this on R2 now. So the right trigger at the back. This is not your standard zoom, it's actually the axis. So what this does is it creates a progressive zoom. Basically, the harder you press R2, the more it's going to zoom in, so you can zoom in progressively. I've added aerobatic smoke as well here. So that's L2 plus down. And then for the mouse aim axis, that's on the left stick, so we have left stick, left, right. And left stick up down for the y-axis there. Bear in mind I do also use a non-linearity of 1. I know by default it uses 2, but I prefer 1. Aim sensitivity, this relates more to a physical mouse. It does actually affect the touchpad, so what I recommend you do is you set this to 5%, which is the lowest it will allow you to save, and this will then prevent any accidental swipes of the touchpad. So it's basically just going to dampen the touchpad. Controller aim acceleration. Essentially what this does is it slows your aim down in the center when you're aiming. So say you want to aim precisely, it will slow down the cursor. And then on the outer edges, so when you push the left stick all the way, you're going to get the fast sensitivity then, which is accelerated. Use joystick in this mode, obviously yes, because you've got the left stick. Alright, so tank controls. Now I am obviously focusing on air with this video, but I have tried to incorporate this into my setup, and it does work surprisingly well actually. So we've got throttle on the right stick, steering is L1 and R1, just like in the plane, and then for the transmission we're using right and left. Same with the guns, it's on X and square. And sniper mode is L1 plus R1. I am still experimenting with the shells. If I do ever play tanks properly, I'll do a separate controls video. But yeah, for now, let's just continue. So for the map, we have L2 plus right. To bring the scoreboard up is just down. To leave the vehicle, basically bail out. That's L2 and left. Show the status of the vehicle module is just left held down. lock target is the left stick pressed in, so L3 button. If you do have a keyboard plugged in for typing, you can use the chat with the enter key, which is return. I use the control and enter, which starts the chat, and then I can type and press enter just to send it. For menu, I'm using L2 plus options, which I'll explain shortly. Mouse look activation is just L2, so this is your free look to look around with the camera. Basically you hold L2 and you move the left stick to look around. Like I was saying up above, this is so we've moved menu now to L2 plus options, and the reason for this is because we have radio messages on options. So instead of using L3 to open the chat wheel, we now press and hold start. It works a lot better for me. What you basically do is you hold start, point the left stick at the one you want, and then press R2 to select it. So it's a lot quicker, and it's making more use of other functions, so it works out pretty good. Use controller for radio messages, obviously yes, because we're using the start button like I just showed you. Sensitivity and zoom, this is basically what reduces your sensitivity when you zoom in. I personally prefer to have mine all the same, so I like my sensitivity to feel the same whether I'm zoomed in or not, so I've got this set to 100%. So I think I've covered just about everything there. Hopefully you find this video useful, and hopefully it helps you in some way. Thanks for watching.